Hey, folks, welcome to the Generational Gap. I am Robert, your resident Gen Xer, and right over there, that's John, our resident millennial. John, how are you doing this evening?
Pretty damn good, actually. How are you doing, Robert? What's new in the life of Robert tonight?
New in the life of Robert. SSDD.
Fair enough.
That's pretty much it. SSDD. Well, actually, there is one thing new. Got a live studio audience tonight, so
That's right.
this
So
is
when you hear the laughter and cheers and applause, that is not canned.
right. This
That
will
is
be
a live
live
studio
studio
audience.
audience, giving us props and. Yeah, I've got one of my children here this evening, and I say children. I use the term loosely because she's actually kind of a teenage adult, as it were. She's smarter than me, so what do you do? So do refrain from saying anything that you wouldn't normally say to your mother, John. But I've heard the way you talk to your mother, so it's probably pretty much fair game for everything anyway.
That's right.
Because I know how I talk to your mom, and woo, ha.
Aha!
Hey, we got some
Kazing.
folks running around the chat. I see an Elephant Man. I see a Saint. I see Eliza sweeping in here from
Awesome.
Australia.
Token Aussie.
Is she lurking? Is she lurking? Last time she was lurking. Hopefully, our stream is looking strong tonight. Um, doesn't look like there's any issues kicking back. So, nice, Saint. Not difficult to be smarter than Robert. That is
Got him.
almost true. Got me. Yeah. Hey, you know what? But I wasn't the one sitting in chat singing the safety dance. So check yourselves. I'm just saying. Uh, but you know what? You can dance if you want to.
You can leave your friends behind
Liza's lurking for a bit. Well, a
for
little
a
bit of
bit.
lurking is not so bad. Now things are pretty much business as usual. Just a little COVID-19 lockdown still going on. Just the stage one reopening going on. Actually, we're in stage one, part two. I don't know if you knew
Right.
that
Stage 1.5, yeah.
because they have upped capacities in locations, but you know. I see
Hey,
Sawson on
Saucin in
there.
the
There's Sawson
house.
sweeping
What
into the
up?
show. But yeah, it's been one of those things. You're pretty much business as usual with your reduced work schedule and
Yep.
your hermitage that you're doing there at home that you normally do.
Actually, this will
You're
be the second weekend in a row that I'm going out.
going
So,
out into the
yeah,
world, into the
that's
big
right.
scary world where there's big scary people with coffees
Big
and
scary
sneezies.
Russians and Chinese and all these,
Bring.
boogeymen, whatever the boogeyman of this week is.
Are you taking a mask with you just in case?
No,
Just in case somebody says,
no.
he tries to.
I've got my mask right here.
Did you see? Did you see that? There's a guy. I think he's in South Africa. He's a leather. He does like furniture reupholstering stuff like that. Does a lot of leather
Mhm.
work, but he made a leather mask that put up, and he was getting a lot of ridicule about that mask. Like, yeah, but what if we want to breathe? Do we just like breathe a lot before we put the mask on and let it hold us over?
Right.
And he claims it like it's very breathable, and he's gonna make an upgraded version, a 1.5 as it were, with some ventilator holes and another layer beneath it. But uh, Elephant Man's asking if I saw the guy grilling hot dogs out front of a restaurant. Why does that sound familiar? Um, was that here in
Mm,
Florida? Why? Because
probably. It sounds pretty Florida.
I want to say I saw something to that effect. Um, that was going, but didn't he get? Oh God, I can't remember it. It was one of those things where it was just like just kind of buzzed by. It was more of a headline and a picture kind of thing, but I'm sure Elephant Man, you can give us a little bit more info on that. Oh, I see Jay Edgar has snuck in. He's going to up our capacity. I like that.
Excellent. Yes.
Yeah, he's always good for a little fun in that way. No, there's, I don't know, man. I don't know. There hasn't really been too much weird going on. I don't know. over the last week. Oh, I did post. You remember the lady that got fired, right? From the health department. I posted
Mm,
this in Discord. She claims
mm-hmm.
she got fired because she was being asked to fudge the numbers, and she
Right.
didn't want to do that. Well, come to find out, DeSantis, which is our governor here in Florida, he decided to come out and he said that this woman had cyber stalking and cyber sexual harassment charges that were filed against her a while back. Like she's facing some sort of criminal situation over these things. And I'm like, okay, then why is she working for anything to do with computers, especially for any kind of government agency or any government adjacent agency? If she's had something like that, wouldn't you, especially if it's pending, like if it's still
Yeah.
in the works, why would you have her working for you? But what was really interesting was what stood out in how he was responding to it, because I swear he got afflicted with the Trumpism. I don't know, because he's in his quote. He's like, you know, I don't know what she's talking about with the data. We have the best data. We've got the best data on the COVID-19. Nobody has better data than what we're supplying. And I'm
That's
like,
right.
oh my God, it's contagious. It's contagious.
But wait, so does that mean that she wasn't actually asked to fudge numbers because she has some previous?
That is what he's implying, is that
Right, but
that's
he would say that.
right. But that was the implication of what he's saying, that she was
Mm-hmm.
let go for reasons other than that. Not
Mm,
because she wouldn't fudge the numbers, because of course they're being very transparent about all of
naturally,
the numbers that are
yes.
going on here. But then after that, then I find this out, right? There's all this talk about, there's been the unemployment thing where the federal government made an additional $600 available to people every week while they're on unemployment, supposed to carry on well into, till the virus, till the pandemic, the states of emergency are gone and everything. Well, we also know that right now, McConnell is basically trying to get that $600 pulled. He wants that to
Mm.
go away like now. And Trump appears to be backing him on this. But the deeper part that I found out was that apparently, apparently the numbers, or the process to get unemployment, is rigged against those who are filing for unemployment. Basically,
No.
almost anywhere you go, and apparently Rick Scott, who who they say is responsible for the current unemployment system that we have here in Florida, um, that is rigged against people. Like it has very, very difficult questions and challenging ways of getting everything processed to get the unemployment. And it's done intentionally to reduce the amount of people that can actually get unemployment,
Yeah.
so that those states can report lower unemployment numbers than they actually have, because they only go by those people who are filing for unemployment and declaring that they're unemployed. So all of this rigmarole that's been going on in many places with people not being able to properly get filed here in Florida, it was a big thing, and it has been a big thing. Apparently, these systems are intentionally built this way to be difficult to even get unemployment in the first place.
So what you're saying is, social welfare is run by bureaucracy, right? And it has ulterior motives.
Yeah,
Is that what we're saying?
yeah.
That
Now,
it's not
now,
actually what's best for people. That's crazy. How
right.
insane.
Now, I don't know where you stand on unemployment, right? Now to me, there is a difference between unemployment and welfare programs to a certain extent. Unemployment is something that you're basically, you kind of pay into. They say you pay into that through,
Yeah.
so that you're able to have some buffer if you lose your job. So I don't know, as a libertarian, where do you stand on unemployment? Do you just see it as a social program or a viable
Um.
thing?
Well, so I think that the best way you could do that if you're going to have something like that is to be able to opt out of it. As long as it's voluntary, they can have that if they want. As long as I can opt out of it and not be
Opt out
and
of putting money
out of
into it,
right, exactly.
under the premise that you will never be able to
Never
file
receive
for
it.
it.
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And I could see that to a certain extent. A lot of times, a lot of the bulk of the money from, if I'm understanding it correctly, is paid by employers. Like they have an unemployment fund that they have to pay into, with people that they hire in the outside chance that they fire somebody, et cetera. But to rig the system, like unemployment is kind of a thing that is nice that it's there, that you can fall back on it. It's nowhere near enough to compensate for the job that you
Mhm.
probably lost, right? Because like here in Florida, it maxes out at $275 a week. And if that's more than you were making at your job, you need to really try and find a better
Right.
job, right? But the idea that they are intentionally making it difficult for people to get access to unemployment, that they're part that they're responsible for putting money into in some way, shape, or form that they earned, as it were, by their employment, and then they got fired.
Yeah.
It's yes, like Elephant Man says, it's called unemployment insurance. So it's
Yeah. And you
uh,
could have insurance company have this type of coverage, and
well,
that's absolutely true
well,
too.
technically, there is something there in that vein, but only when it comes to medical insurance, because you have
Yeah.
Cobra. But I don't know if you've ever looked at Cobra. You lose a job, you lose your insurance, and then you get the letter from Cobra. Do you know how expensive that shit is? That shit is twice as expensive as the insurance you were getting through your employer. And it's like, hello, think about it.
Yeah.
You're offering me an opportunity to be able to continue my insurance till I get another job and replace my insurance, but you're doing it at an increased rate, insurance rate. How can I afford that when I don't have the job anymore? It doesn't make sense to me. It's one of those funny things. So back to Elephant Man's question earlier. He answered it yesterday at Disney Springs, opened up at Walt Disney
Mm.
World. I think I mentioned a week or so ago that they were talking about opening it up, or I read about it. I don't know if we did or not. Um, and apparently, police recall when one family pulled out a grill and started grilling hot dogs outside of Raglan Road. Uh,
Awesome.
which is just kind of stupid. I mean,
Legends.
leave it
That's
to
awesome.
people, right? I bet they were from Florida. There's a good chance that was
Probably.
a Florida man.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
Absolutely.
Saint says the unemployment out there is $500 a week. Elephant Man says $504 in New York City. Those are nice. Those are nice numbers. I don't know that that's equitable to the inflation. I don't know what the inflation
Yeah.
rate is
Yeah. I was
out
gonna
there in
say
those
because
states. I know
I
New
don't know
York is
about.
high.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know about Arizona, but I know New York. You can't even get a hot dog with that. So I mean,
Yeah.
that's not anything. Yeah.
But $275 a week here in Florida, unless you're living outside of an urban area where everything is like I'll use Zephyr Hills as an example because that's really old school, and we're talking most people in Zephyr Hills are still on well water. It's an
Hmm.
older crowd, et cetera, et cetera. If you're out somewhere like that, $275 a week, you might be able to get by okay for in the interim,
Yeah.
between jobs, but it's really not a lot. But anyway, so they're looking to cut that. They're looking to cut that $600 that they made available to people, which I'm on the fence as to whether or not cutting it before we have people getting back to work fully. I think it's a real challenge. I don't know that taking money that people are sitting in a counting on while they're
Yeah.
not able to get back to work is necessarily a good thing. I get it. I know we don't love the idea of printing more money that doesn't exist, but
Yeah.
you've laid out a lifeline to people.
Right. They've already done it,
Right.
and the damage is done either way. So I'd say yeah. I mean, first of all, in the lockdown, and then maybe a couple more payments so they can, people can get their jobs and
Right.
stuff back because most people are going to get their jobs back
Right.
almost immediately.
And of course, McConnell's
So
McConnell's
yeah.
argument is that a lot of people aren't going to want to go back to work because the unemployment is better than what
Right.
they were making at their job. But they already said that they're willing to make it a crime, a felony, some sort of offense if you do not take your job back if it's offered to you, and you
Well, that's
opt to.
ridiculous.
Well, Well, no, what I'm saying is if you continue to ride unemployment but your employer calls you and says, "Hey, your job's available. We're opening up. You can come back to work." And you go, "No, I'm not going to come back to work. I'm going to ride this unemployment train." Then they're looking at it as a type of theft, which I can agree with because
Fucking
you
pieces of
were
shit.
taking it because they put you out of work. Well,
Yeah,
your
no,
work
it's
is
still your
available.
money
Well, the six
type of
hundred
theft, my
dollars
ass.
isn't. The six hundred
Yeah,
dollars is just stimulus money. I mean, that's
it's
print.
it's still paid for by tax money.
Well, yes, but nobody
So it's
nobody
like
was paying
you're
twenty four
stealing.
hundred
How
dollars a
dare
month
you?
in taxes.
How dare you steal our stolen money? Like
Right,
we stole that fair and square. Damn
right.
you!
But it
Like,
does make sense to me. I mean, it's like dude, you're bitching because you can't go to work. Well, your boss just called. Don't shit in his face and tell him you're not going to come back to work because my gov is taking care of
yeah,
everything
I
for me.
understand. But
I don't
yeah,
want to go. I don't want to see people going that route.
yeah,
We need to get people back to work. That because that's been one of the biggest concerns and biggest complaints in the country. Um, fuck, North Dakota gets $618 a week, or is that a month? $618 a week normally. Jesus, can you imagine how much those people are
yeah.
making a month on unemployment right now?
Because
Twelve
it's gotta
hundred.
cost like, yeah, I was gonna say it's gotta cost like $4 to for rent in North Dakota. Like no one lives there.
One would think that it would be a lot less expensive. Well, okay, less expensive to live. When you look at something like rent and things like that, maybe, but I would consider that possibly the cost of goods and services may be more expensive because of
Like
less access.
transportation.
Right? I don't
Yeah,
know. I don't know
maybe,
if that
but
part of the cost of living is a little higher.
maybe.
it's Ed
Yeah.
says it is technically defrauding the government, which is what McConnell is pointing out.
Hey, they did it first.
Yeah,
They
and he
defrauded me
says the
first.
government has a monopoly on theft. You're not allowed to do it back.
Right. They hate competition.
Oh, Elephant Man says he's going back to work Tuesday. His boss called. He's going
Hell
back.
yeah.
Good job. Good to hear. Good to hear you're going to be going back to work.
Hell yeah, badass.
Unless it's a job you hate. Uh, Saint says, did either of you read the article on college attendance projections after lockdown? No. Are they
No,
low
but
or
it's
high?
low, yeah.
Is it low? Like people are not going to want to go back to college?
Not physically, I imagine. Not
Well,
gonna want to go back to campus.
Well, I don't have a problem with them creating a whole new world when it comes to education, when
Yeah.
it comes to the work model, even. Again, I'm all for companies saving money
Mm-hmm.
on rent, office space, etc. If you have now realized that 75% of your workforce can literally do their job from home and they're
Yep.
productive, then do so, reduce the amount of
Oh
space you
man.
need, and then you can maybe pay your people a little more and
You
still
know what's
make more
funny?
profit yourself.
I think you're gonna see a huge spike in obesity. A generation or two after that starts. We're gonna have
Well,
like the Wally people after
yeah,
a while.
yes and no,
With
but you know what?
floating chairs.
I've done the work at home thing for a while, and I
Yeah.
had an actual W-2 job that I was doing from home, and we were smart. I was actually in a position to train people and everything, and one of the parts of the training was this. I said, look, you're going to be sitting at your desk for upwards to 8 hours a day. I said, so what you need to do is you're going to work 50 minutes every hour. And then you're going to get up for no less than 5 minutes, but 10 minutes is fine. You're going to get up and you're going to go walk around. You're going to go do something. Get up
Mm-hmm.
and move. Do something physical. Even go do a 5 minute chore in the house, something that makes you active, and do that regularly throughout the day. Yes,
Yeah.
I know there's going to be a lot of times where it doesn't happen, but smart companies will educate people on, do these things
Right.
and make it okay. It's not going to be what do you mean you got up for 10 minutes and walked away from your
Oh
desk?
God. Yeah.
No, this is for the betterment of their health. And, smart companies that care about their employees will do things like this and hopefully prevent things like that. But yeah, I could see it becoming a situation. Um, Saint says some students are not going back at all. Some are switching to cheaper community colleges. Great. You know what? I would be much happier if a lot more college students were doing online education, simply from the fact, we talked about a little bit about this in Discord a day or two ago about the indoctrination and the kind of pseudo brainwashing that goes on at colleges with all of the PC environment and the politicization of information. Um, that can be reduced in an online environment to a certain extent. Um,
That's where most of it happens. I don't know. I
well,
don't know that that would reduce it.
it. What do you mean where most of it happens? Most of it happens when you're sitting in a class listening to somebody who's got an hour and a half to just ramble on.
Believe it or not, most of it happens on Twitter and Tumblr.
Well, yeah, but you're not going to school on Twitter and Tumblr.
Right, but I'm saying like it's already online, like it's all there. It's
Well,
just
yes, I
like yeah,
know
you
it's,
might read more literature
but you
through the
have to physically go
school, but
after it in that way.
yeah,
It's not just being fed to you in a classroom environment. And when you're talking about classes online, and my daughter here can attest to this, the education window shortens. So where she was going to school 7, 8 hours a day, she's now 4.5 hours done for the day. Yeah, she's done in 4.5 hours. So, they condense the window. The mindset is to condense the information that's being given. Um, it's kind of the nature of the beast, if you will,
yeah.
which makes the online environment a much more beneficial way, I think, to handle college education in the present day and age.
Well, I think a lot of that extra time. I mean, there's a lot of in like a physical school, there's a lot of extra time. So there's a lot of the bell rings and you move to your next class. You've got like whatever 4 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever it is. So that's 5 minutes each class, and then there's the waiting a few minutes before the class starts for
Hmm.
anyone who's late. And then whatever kind of bullshitting they do beforehand, and then same with after before the actual class time starts. When
Right.
you're online, you don't have all that extra
Sure.
time. And same thing with lunch, basically.
Sure, saves you
You
gas
know,
money, saves you
well,
lots of
yeah,
money, and another good thing is, like you were talking about, that time between classes, right? Well, one of the things, and I've been to a couple of campuses, in the last few years. When you're sitting there in the common areas or walking down the halls, you're seeing propaganda on the walls.
oh, well, yeah,
Right? You're being confronted with propaganda. Again, not you're choosing to be exposed to it. It's being put in your face to where, it's there. You take that out of the picture too. It's like, and think about how much cheaper education becomes.
yeah, absolutely. I
Um,
mean, bus drivers are a thing of the past for one,
well, that would be nice, right?
so you don't have to worry about the maintenance on the buses, and obviously the gas mileage on them, the drivers themselves, substitute drivers. There's whatever. I'm sure their insurance is outrageous. You got all those kids in a yellow medal of death. Machine of death, I guess. Whatever.
I
It's
see.
all there. You put it together.
I see Cameron Michael in the house. Cameron says 71% of all Americans have a BMI of over 25. And just FYI, I don't buy into that BMI bullshit
Yeah, the
anyway.
BMI is total
BMI is
bullshit.
just
Yeah.
a bullshit meter index, is what that is. Um, but 40% are plus 30 BMI. Yeah, I mean,
Right.
if you,
Well, my point was there was gonna be a spike in that, so that would
yeah,
be even higher.
I mean, yeah, we've got, by statistical standards and looking at, numbers like that, sure. But you could probably interject that into a lot of countries around the world and, find BMIs that are above what they should be, et cetera, et
I
cetera.
mean,
But
yeah, of
I
course,
mean,
and
we
we are
have a
the
problem,
fattest country
but we
on the
are
planet, though.
right. That's because we have such widespread free access to so much junk.
Yeah, that's what happens when you have
Right.
a wealthy nation.
And
Yeah,
we're a country of excess.
right.
That's the downside to a
And we have
wealthy country.
we have a service economy instead of a productive one or production one.
I see us as more
So
of
we're
a
not manufacturing.
pseudo
We're
wealthy
consuming.
economy. The
Well,
fiat.
we're oh well, yeah, of course. But I mean, if everyone agrees that you're wealthy, then you're wealthy. I mean, that's how value works. People have to agree that something is worth
Right.
something in order for it to be worth something.
But what if they all agree we're full of shit? Are we full of shit?
Yeah, if they
Okay.
stop taking our dollar, then the dollar is
Well,
worthless.
besides that, I mean, just in general.
Well, no.
Fuck money. Money is just a stupid thing anymore. I put statistics and numbers. Yes, I did put statistics and numbers in finger quotes because that's what they've become. I mean,
Yeah,
look at the disinformation that's been running around for the last few months from multiple global sources based off statistics. And
yeah,
these are things that can be fudged. These are malleable things.
right.
All you got to do is change one, and it
It's that
becomes
well, it's that
something
whole
completely different.
numbers don't lie, but people use numbers
The
to
people who
lie.
report the numbers,
Right.
woo, they're liar, pants on fire.
Yeah.
Hey, Elephant Man's got a good point. If you haven't already, please hit the
Oh,
like button,
excellent. Yeah.
hit the subscribe button. Thanks for watching out for us, Elephant Man. It's good to see that you've got our back.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Appreciate it.
and Ed wants to know, John, what is Jane's Tumblr gender?
Uh, I believe they go by.
What did we put
I
her on
forget.
her profile?
I forget on
Oh
the
God,
OK
you should
Cupid
pull that
profile.
up.
I know Ed was one of them. That was Jake's contribution.
Right?
Let me
Oh,
see if I can even know how to get back into it.
what did we put that on?
It
It
was
wasn't
OK Cupid,
Okay
wasn't it?
Cupid, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see how well we've been doing. It's been a long time since I went in there. Where is OK?
Because we
Am
had
I
a
never
really
able
a really
to?
interesting little gender for her, but
Oh yeah, no, the whole profile is just
it's just
amazing.
tasty, right? Tasty.
Yeah,
She was a hot little number out there with lots of folks that were interested.
yeah, that was the funniest part.
I'm just not sure if it was the beard, the hair, or the profile that really was the draw for her.
I mean, you really can't take one of those out and have it all be the same. It's
Ah,
just they're all
it's
very important,
none are mutually exclusive.
right? Do do do.
But anyway, so yeah, it's interesting to wonder how that's going to work. I am curious to see, like, if that does happen with schools from the online environment, because I don't know if you've looked at book prices for online education. They're not far removed from the cost of physical books at an actual college, which was surprising to me when I found this out that people would still have to pay anywhere from $200, $300, $400 for an online book, right? And
Could we use a different email? Oh, whatever. I'm not gonna try.
yeah, I
I'm
don't
not,
remember what we used on
yeah,
that one.
I'm not gonna bother with it.
Yeah. But no, I had seen this. Somebody was talking to me about the cost of their books and was showing me that, like, for an online book, and okay, I get that the book costs money to research, write, put together, the whole nine yards, right? But when you put it into an online environment,
Yeah,
it's like one document that can be downloaded thousands,
PDFs
hundreds of
can. Yeah,
thousands of times. You don't need to charge each individual $200 for that
and
book.
Saints right over here. There are ways around that. Though people have pirated them. Yeah, I mean, people will
Shh,
pirate them, and
sure.
I mean, yeah, the books are really expensive, but you don't have to buy them.
Well, the hope is that at least they, get smart, put copyright protections on them that will impede some of the, uh, you know, but this idea that you're going to make them as expensive as the physical book. So hoping that if we do see a more strengthened move to an online education system, that we would also see a reduction in the cost to students that they have to suffer through, which is the kind of thing that forces them to take out these egregious student loans that take forever to pay back and are just a real knock in the balls. I never took any. I was like, nope. If it can't be done on Pell Grants or I can't pay it out of pocket, you know,
Yeah,
I can't sit around and owe a whole bunch of money for college. I'm sorry, that was just some crazy
there's also
numbers.
used bookstores too,
Oh yeah,
like
used
used
bookstores are a great
college
way. But you know what? You know
bookstores.
what you don't have online? You don't have a used option.
Well, yeah, obviously.
You're stuck
At
with
least I
buying.
hope not. That'd be kind of gross.
Well, at least the pages won't stick together. So
Yeah.
you're good there, and nobody can doodle on them. Um, So anyway, I don't know. Did you? I don't know if you saw. I posted a couple of things in Discord today in the show suggestions about Uncle Joe. Oh my God.
Yeah.
um, so I have a question for you, John. If you don't know if you're who you're voting, whether you're voting for him or Trump,
Mm-hmm.
you ain't black.
It's true.
Is that a truism?
I suppose I'm black then.
Wait, so
Like,
you know who you're voting for?
yeah, of course.
Is it just me, or does this harken back to the Obama days when he didn't have the pressure of the presidency and he could just say stupid things,
Yeah.
and it was just Joe Biden saying
He did it
stupid
all the
things?
time. He was a gaff machine back then
The
too.
gaffer, right? Hey, there's Wyatt from Roundtable
Wired.
Decision. What's up, Wyatt? Um, but I'm like, really, really, this is not the time to make gaffes like that, right?
Well, the best part is he said that while being interviewed by a black guy. I don't know who the
No,
guy was.
oh, no.
Yeah,
Why does he have this idea that every black person in America is so in love with him?
because he's right. Like, no, obviously not everyone, but that's what that's what he's being told. And typically black voters will swing Democrat.
Now, there's been some talk that didn't hold as true in the 2016 election as many
Not as
people
true,
wide was said, right?
but that's because they were also counting on it, which is why the Democrats didn't really campaign hard in those areas. They tried to choose more battleground areas.
See, I would think Trump would be smarter than that. Like,
I'm saying the Democrats didn't do that.
oh, Democrats, right,
Yeah,
right,
they
right,
skipped over like huge places,
right.
and those are the ones that needed to flip for Trump, and they did.
Yeah, it's Jake from Freedom Scoop says new poll this week had Trump with 27%
Of course, it did.
of
Approval,
what?
I imagine.
27% approval or 20% of the black vote?
I don't
I don't
know,
know.
but
I'm curious.
Elephant Man says Libertarian candidate John. No, thank you. No,
Uh, you watched that debate, right? I'm going to
I
ask you
did.
about. I'm going to
Yeah.
ask you about that in a minute.
All right.
Um, one other thing in regard to Uncle
Minority
Joe,
black vote. Gotcha.
the
That's
minority black
27% of
vote.
them. Yeah.
Yeah, his numbers with the black community are going up, and according to him, and this is a quote from him that he said way back, the blacks love him.
Right. Well, Hillary Clinton always carries hot sauce in her purse, so the blacks
That's
had to
just
vote for her
racist,
too.
John. That's
That's what she said. I didn't
that's
say it.
just
I was
racist.
just quoted.
It's not hot sauce. It's hoi fong sauce.
I have no idea what that
Do
is.
you?
Hoi
Have you
fong.
never tried hoi fong? Do you
I
like
don't think
hot
so.
sauce at all? Do you like?
Yeah,
Go
I've
look
actually
for.
got an entire gallon of hot sauce
It's in a
that my
red
sister gave
bottle.
me.
It's in a red bottle
Hmm.
with a green lid. It's from China. It's got
Oh,
white
sriracha.
writing on it. It's a sriracha base, but it's called Hoi Fong is the brand name.
Okay,
Hoi Fong.
I've had
Love
sriracha.
Hoi
Sriracha's
Fong.
delicious.
Love Hoi Fong.
Yeah.
Give me Chinese food. I'll just dump Hoi Fong all over it.
Hell
Hoi
yeah.
Fong.
Oh,
And
Major
it's fun to
Victory.
say
What's
it.
up? It
Major
is fun to say.
victory. Hoi Fong. Say Hoi Fong. Hoi Fong. But anyway, other thing about Biden that I posted in there, if in case you didn't see it, he's having Klobuchar be vetted.
Right, she's being vetted.
Right, but that means that she's a consideration.
Right.
Why? She's so white.
Yeah, she's so
I don't
milquetoast
understand it.
and bland that like she won't be a problem.
But why would you even? Why? I mean, that is so not the demographic he's targeting with his VP pick.
He
He's
doesn't know
already
what
made
he's
that clear.
targeting.
Sure, he does. He needs a woman, and he would prefer one that she be a minority. I mean,
Wow.
he's got our mayor here in Orlando. He's got his wife as one of the potentials. Mayor
Oh,
Deming's
really?
wife, he's got her as one of the potentials too. I don't know why she carries any weight. I'd have to look into her, but yeah, she's one of the potentials as well.
Hmm.
I'm like, what the hell? Where did she?
Florida
Why
women
did?
in the White House. I like it.
Do you? I don't
I
know. But
don't know.
why?
She'll bring all the meth and the what's it called, the bath salts and stuff.
Yeah, but everyone he's
Pet
targeted.
alligator. It'll be
Everyone he's
fantastic.
targeted is black or Hispanic. black or Hispanic. I mean, he's looking for more than just one intersectionality
Apparently
in
not.
getting this VP. So it's surprising
Well,
to me that Klobuchar gets thrown
to
into
be
the
fair, she's
mix.
also gay as fuck. So
Who
there's that. Klobuchar.
is she?
No, I don't know.
Oh, you just mean from
Just in
the
behavior, yeah.
GHEY, right?
Right.
Gotcha. Um, so the real question that I have is, why isn't he looking at Clinton?
I think that would push a lot of people away, especially the Bernie bros, the disenfranchised Bernie bros.
Would it push people away when she
Yeah,
gained 50, almost
I understand
50% of the
that.
vote in 2016?
I know.
Or did the scandal hurt that?
I think the scandals hurt that a lot. I think she lost a lot of people with the pushing Bernie out. Even people who weren't necessarily going to vote for Bernie, that didn't sit well with many Democrats.
Would their opinion change if she got up and said, and just said, as I've mentioned before, Epstein didn't kill himself?
I don't think that people would still vote for her, but
No.
I would love to hear her say that. That
Wouldn't
would
that be great?
absolutely fantastic. Yeah,
Just to be on a troll
absolutely.
train to hear her say that,
Right,
right? Just be
right.
trolling. But I think that it would. I honestly believe that it would swing a lot of people to consider her if she was like Joe's like, I'm considering Hillary Clinton, and then she goes on a news show and she's like, and by the way, Epstein didn't kill himself. Mic
That
drop. You know?
would be awesome.
It would, wouldn't it? So
Boulder Vaughn's here,
Boulder
sweet.
Vaughn in the
Do you remember
house.
the time Obama had this little video out where like during the whole time with like the "Thanks Obama" meme was
Yeah.
going around, and he had like the cookie and the glass of milk, and like the cookie was big, and just like couldn't dunk it in there, and he's like, "Thanks Obama," like that. It was pretty. Gotta admit, I mean, we took a break from killing a bunch of brown people in countries we can't pronounce in order to make a funny video. I appreciated that out of him, you know.
Eliza says she just came back to hear that little bit of truth. Hey, Wyatt, going to mention, I don't know how many people are familiar with Anna Voltis and his show, but Wyatt is going to be doing an interview with him on Tuesday at 1 Eastern Time. And that
Yeah.
is Eastern Time, the only true
Well,
time
that's
zone.
why, right? That's why he put it in Eastern time, even though he doesn't live in
Shh,
Eastern time. He
you
just
don't want to ruin
knows.
it for
He
him. Don't
knows.
ruin it for him. Nobody has to know. Then he wants to be part of the one true time zone.
I know.
Is why he put it that way.
He's part of the Eastern time diaspora.
Okay.
Um, Also, yeah, guys, go subscribe to Roundtable Decision so you can see that
Yes,
kind of
definitely.
stuff in his book streams. They're really good. So
Two smart guys. I'm going to say this. Wyatt is, he may seem like a quiet guy, but kids got smarts. Kids got smarts, and Anna Voltis is the same way. I think they're of an age with each other, but Anna Voltis as well. Very smart kid. Very
yeah,
knowledgeable um, for a kid. I mean, and of course, sorry to
not a
say.
great sword fighter from what I hear, though.
Of course, everybody's a kid to me because I'm, 32
Right.
years old. So anyway, so John, now, and
Hang on, we got Eliza throwing some shade real quick. She said
Eastern.
Eastern Australian time. Yes, that is the correct time zone.
Yes, if you're in
No, that's
Australia,
like
it is the
right.
one true time zone for Australia.
That's like saying New South Wales is the only true Wales. I mean, that's just ridiculous. You just stole that name and slapped your own country over it. That's not the same thing.
Hold on,
Not even close.
doesn't Australia have multiple time zones though?
Yeah,
Right, that's
but
what I'm saying.
they're not the Eastern time
But no,
zone. They're not ours.
no. Eastern. She said Eastern Australian time. So my guess is, it's kind of like a two sides of the coin or a polarity kind of thing because technically they're down under, right? They're kind of on the other side of the
They're
world from
opposites.
us.
Yeah, they're hanging
So
upside down.
so she
Yeah.
is the one true time zone on the flip side of the coin. So
No.
we can give her don't knock
No.
Eliza. Don't knock
Nope.
Eliza or she will not
Oh no,
lurk anymore.
I'm not knocking Eliza. I'm knocking Australia. Totally different.
That's horrible. That's
they're like they're
horrible.
like they're like the Canada of the southern hemisphere.
Hey, you know what? I got to give them props. I got to give Australia props for, as the story goes, a bunch of folks that just got in trouble and got kicked out and thrown
Yeah,
out. They've done pretty
they
well for themselves. Have you seen that opera house? It's
yeah,
it's
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 pretty
it's not
nice.
shabby, you know.
Yeah, no, there's an old saying that an Australian is just an Irishman who got caught.
Nice, nice.
Yeah,
I mean, and to be honest with you, in my opinion, Australia is much more dangerous than like here. like,
yeah.
like settling and colonizing that. Ooh, there's some fucked up danger out there. Would we eat turkeys? I mean, turkeys. Yeah, you know. But anyway,
Yeah, it was never dangerous here when we colonized it ever. How
no,
dare you
no.
mock Australia? I'm triggered and offended. Triggered and offended. I think I've done my job then.
Wow, how
New
dare
York worse
you?
than Old York? No, New York is better than Old York. It surpassed it and became the only true York.
When does it stop being New York? When does it just become York? I mean,
Last
it's
I
like,
heard, that's not that new.
and like New Jersey. Have you smelled New Jersey? Nothing new smells like that. I'm just saying, unless it's a new pile of shit. I'm
Yeah, it's a
just
new pile of shit every
saying.
year. Yeah.
It's me. Speaking of horrible smells, by the way, I got to tell you, if you are not familiar with them, look them up. We've got two flowers. My wife gardens. We've been growing
Yeah.
some corpse plants. It's called a corpse flower,
Yeah.
right? But normally it just grows into a tree. But like once every 3 to 5 years, it will actually bloom. And instead of putting up a tree, it actually just puts out this big, huge flower that seeds and everything. But it's called a corpse flower because it smells like rotting meat for the first 2 or 3
Hmm.
days of the bloom. Well, we've got two of them that are popping out right now and opening up, and it's really, really kind of cool to see them the way they go, because it comes out looking like almost like a big pointy missile head, and then begins to unfold and come out. And I swear to God, John, it's like dinner plate size flower or bigger. With this, is look it up online sometime. Corpse flower. It's fantastic, um,
I hope you
and a
don't get
little
a
freaky.
knock on the door by by the police. Like, hey, we got reports of dead bodies in your backyard.
It's easily explainable. It's easily explainable because we bury all our dead bodies. You won't smell them. I mean, if you bury them
Right,
deep,
there you go.
right,
Fair enough.
right.
Yeah.
No, sir, that's above the ground. That's obviously a flower.
And also, Boulder Vaughn says it used to be called New Amsterdam, referring to New York. Yeah, the point is used to. That's the main word there.
Right. And
Used to
notice it
be.
still had new in the name. I mean,
Yeah.
when does the new wear off? You know?
Probably when it gets conquered
I mean,
by
at
the
least,
English.
like at
You know.
least the Carolinas and the Dakotas figured it out. They're like North Carolina, South Carolina, North Dakota, South Dakota. Those are aptly named. No need to change it. It wasn't like
Yeah,
new,
they didn't
new old
shift. You know.
Dakota, new Dakota, right? It's like, come on. But yeah, I do that a lot. New Hampshire, New York, New Jersey, New Mexico. I'm like, it's nothing new about these places anymore, folks. Same old, same old. you know.
I mean, I think as long as it's newer than the original. So like, if you have a younger brother, he's still your younger brother even when he gets old. He's still your little brother.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that.
Is it?
I imagine, yeah.
No.
Logic follows.
You got to let go of that imagination.
Yeah, okay.
Eliza, Eliza says, "Wait, you bury your backyard bodies? Tell me more." Takes notes. You got to bury them deep, girl, and put a pond
Yeah.
over the top of them once you do. Um, Nobody
And
ever noticed
actually, putting
anything.
those corpse flowers might actually help because you can explain, like, if someone does
Right.
smell it, you're like, no, no,
Well,
it's just these flowers. It's
but
like a
see,
little, throw
there's the
them off the
catch.
trail.
There's the catch to it, John. Is like I said, they only bloom once every three
Mm.
to five years. So you
Yeah,
can't
that's
guarantee when
unfortunate.
it's going to happen. Like these that we have, we started these while we were in the previous house before we got this one. So these are from plants that were started like 4 years ago. So it's taken 4 years for this thing to actually flower, right?
Yeah,
So it's
Elephant
not
Man's
like
right. You can't bury bodies in Florida, not easily at least. The water table is pretty high. What's really bad is Louisiana. They actually don't bury the bodies; they're all buried above ground, which I found out when I went there.
But
It's fucking weird.
The upside to Florida is that most of the soil is sand, which packs densely, and odors don't seep through as easily as they
Yeah.
might in dirt. So, um, so there's that. Not that I've ever looked into this. I don't know. I disavow any of this conversation. I'm reading from a script
It's all
that was prepared
hypothetical,
for
yeah.
me by our writers, and they're wrong. They're probably wrong. This is just fake news. Fake news, folks. Welcome to Generational Gap. Fake news.
That's right.
Major Victory says dead bodies equal compost. I mean, wait, what? I said nothing. Exactly. See,
Yeah, he said nothing.
not that we have a compost bin on our lawn in our yard as well, but I will say that it's just my wife and I now, so the only two living here now.
Yeah.
um, Eliza says Breaking Bad taught me that acid works well. It does in the right
It does. You
combination.
put a little tab under your tongue. It works fantastic.
Oh no! For disposing of a body, acid like hydrochloric, not not
Gotcha.
right, not purple microdot.
Gotcha.
Major Victor says, "What kind of acid? Sulfuric or hydrochloric?" I think I just gave up the ghost on that one. Uh, so the writers have dead bodies buried in their backyard. Noted. No, the
No
writers
comment.
apparently have dead bodies buried in my backyard. I got to talk to the writers.
Right. Someone might be
hand.
looking for a new job soon. Yeah.
Florida has sinkholes into the aquifer. Yes, Boulder Von, they do. We live on Swiss cheese. Literally, we're on top of rocky Swiss cheese.
Yeah. Our state is trying to kill us at all times.
I mean,
we
we
are
could
kind of
go.
the Australia of the northern hemisphere, really.
We could go at any time, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
it
great.
just at any time something catastrophic could happen. Like I get freaked out if they talk about earthquakes anywhere near and around Florida because I'm like, no,
Yeah, shaking
no,
up all that
I
sand
can't
and
swim.
it just gives away. Yeah. Me too. Oh yeah, it's typhoons and whatnot.
Ed
Not
says my
typhoons.
old
The other
lady
thing.
has two brothers older than her. One is 5'6", the other is 6'4". The taller one is the younger of the two, but the elder still calls him litter brother.
Probably little.
Are you sure they're not
meant.
cats? So anyway,
that's a big cat. 5'6"
right?
and 6'4".
Right. So John, you took it upon yourself to watch the the libertarian presidential debate.
Yes,
Is that correct?
I did. Yeah.
So first question, is it funny as hell that the best place the libertarians can do a debate is on a YouTube stream? I mean, they actually had actually had an actual correspondent asking the questions. Am I correct? Who ran the debate?
John Stossel. I believe he's a politician, but I know he's part of the Libertarian Party.
Hold on, John Stossel was a TV comic. I thought he was in news. I thought he
might
used
have
to work
been, but I know he's part of the Libertarian Party.
If you check, I want to say it was
I'm
ABC
right
he used to work for, or still does. I know he worked for one of the major network news. He was as a reporter, mostly I think a political commentator.
Yeah, consumer television personality, author, and libertarian pundit, known for his career on both ABC and Fox Business Channel. There you go. All right, fair enough. So I didn't know that about him, but yeah, so he was that stuff.
Yeah, so I was, I don't know if he still works for any of those, any of the big major names in major networks, but yeah, that's where I'm familiar with him because I saw a screen grab of him when you posted, and I saw his image, and I'm like, oh, so there's actually somebody. I did not know he was a libertarian. But again, is it a little bit sad that that's the best place they can get their presidential debate or be a part of that activity, right?
Of course, yeah, they should be on the mainstream networks like any other party. Any other party, I mean the duopoly, of course, the Republicans and Democrats.
Did they touch on that at all?
No.
No, didn't really bring it up. Don't really talk about it. Just kind of act like it's not there.
Right. They were doing a more serious, I thought that was really interesting, actually. The way that he did it was he asked them questions from the point of view of people who aren't familiar with libertarianism. Or,
really?
Kind of like what you do all the time, to me, where you're just like, okay, so from this point of view, how do we deal with this situation from a libertarian perspective? And they would all, they would give their answers. So I thought that was really cool the way that went down.
And see, that is, and in my opinion, that is the West Bay, the best way to educate people. To really, I don't know,
Yeah.
to try and prompt an answer that's going to force you to speak to those who, need an education on it. I mean, that's how you're going to broaden your scope of voters, and and your ideology, and get that
Hmm.
across to people more.
And that is the way to do it, is to, be asked questions and give those answers satisfactorily, of course.
Right.
Um, I'm not sure I do a fantastic job of doing that, because obviously I'm my own person. I'm not coming from the point of view of the Libertarian Party like they are.
Right.
I'm coming from my own
Hmm.
perspective of it,
Right, but from your
interpretation.
libertarian point of view, your
Right,
libertarian point of view, John's specific, right?
right,
And
exactly.
that's fine. I mean, that's the one thing that we know about libertarianism is that there's quite a few diverse angles on libertarianism and
Right.
interpretations of libertarianism. I guess is a good way to put it. But yeah, I think it's key to really, I don't know. I think that's got to be the only way that libertarianism is going to broaden out into a larger audience is if conversations with libertarians are approached from you need to educate people on libertarianism.
Right.
You know, even libertarians need to be educated on libertarianism.
Fucking
Sad to
A,
say,
yeah.
right?
Yeah,
It is a
absolutely.
thing. So who were the candidates that were there? How many were there, and who were they? Do you remember?
I think there were 6 of them there.
Really?
Let me see if I can go through the names. Obviously, Vermin Supreme was one of them.
Really, he was
Uh,
there, right?
he was there, yeah, and he was in his serious mode. He didn't have the boot on his head, so you should watch it. You'll
He
get some
wasn't talking
more.
unicorns and shit.
Right, exactly. He was
Wow.
being,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, he was being legit, and he explains the whole, like, his satirical, his character. How he was been a satirical activist, and he's run for president every election for like 30 years. With this persona, obviously, and he ran like as a joke until this time when he started the hashtag in on the joke. And so it was kind of, and Twitter's helped him out a lot. I
Right.
see him retweeting people constantly being like, oh, fuck everything, I'm voting, Vermin Supreme, and all this kind of stuff. I'm so sick of X group, I'm voting for Vermin Supreme, all that kind of stuff. It's helped him out a lot, and it's
Hmm.
helped him get his message out a lot. So I mean, props to him on that.
Hmm.
He's run a very, very good campaign
Yeah.
for the limited,
Right. Uh,
reach that a libertarian can get.
and Adam
Um,
Adam Kokesh was there. Is that correct?
no, Adam
No.
Kokesh wasn't there, and our buddy Keenan Wallace Dunham wasn't there either.
Really?
Yeah, I've thought about asking him about it, but I was like, it might be a touchy subject. I don't know. He might be. I don't know if he's sour about it or not. You know. Um,
Well, okay. Let me back up for a second. Was there a criteria?
I imagine that there was, because there have been other debates before this one, and I haven't seen them, so I don't know if they were there or not. Maybe someone in the chat has paid more attention to it than I have. Doesn't take much to. All you have to do is watch more than the one I watched last night.
Right.
Um,
If you've watched two, you've got John topped.
yep. And yeah, Kokesh is awesome, Boulder.
And just
Uh,
in case anybody knows, that's how John prefers it to be topped.
that's right. In fact, from the bottom, I like to top from the bottom.
No, that
But
you can't. Don't try and twist it. Everybody understands the truth.
damn it! All right, I
Oh, and
tried.
by the way, Ron Helton's here, so you won't be getting away with your bullshit.
Okay, so anyway, yeah, there was Vermin Supreme. There was Judge Jim Gray, I think was his name. Or was it John Gray? One of those. I wasn't a big fan of him, so I didn't pay too much attention to him. Then there was who's the other guy? Oh, Joe Jorgensen was there. This one like professor. I think she's a professor at Clemson University, but she's fucking dumb. She was
Nice.
ridiculous.
That's nice, John. You're not very friendly to the ladies.
I'm not very friendly to libertarians. If there's one thing that a libertarian hates the most, it's other libertarians.
How does that not screw
Dude,
up your entire party platform
it
in the
does.
first place? I mean, why are you bothered? Why do these people bother then?
It does. There's so much purity testing; it's ridiculous. But one guy that I did like was Justin Mons. Not John Mons. Sorry, not Justin. I was anyway.
And what made him
John
stand out for you?
Mons. Um, first of all, his bow tie was
Okay,
fantastic bow tie,
something with substance,
and then
please.
and then just like the kind of no nonsense, like um, kind of he had almost like a grandfatherly like sternness to him, but a sense of humor as well. It was like I like the way he spoke a lot, and the way that he kind of was just unapologetic about exactly the things that he was going to try and accomplish. And not only that, but his not only that, but his like his credentials are fantastic as well. Um, I mean, he became the first was it the first African American to be on the ballot for governor in Georgia,
Mhm.
which is awesome. I don't know if you got a sniper in your studio there, but
What?
but anyway, yeah. He's done a lot of the stuff. His college that dot was really distracting, but
I know. You can't keep. What is up?
I'm like, what is going on over? Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, just look into him. He's awesome. John Mons, Monds. He's fantastic. And watch him on the debate. Watch the debate. I linked the stream in our Discord server. So if you're not in our Discord server, make sure you're in there. You can go over to announcements, and it's the link right before this one.
Oh, Major Victory has given us a
Hey,
challenge.
midget.
What's up, Midget B?
What?
He's put in there. He says, "A house divided will not stand. There are two places that reference this line. Name them both."
Yeah, there
Isn't one
was
of those
Abraham
in?
Lincoln was one of them.
Is that on his memorial?
I believe so. Yes. But he says people, not places. He corrected that. I know that's one of those, and I can't remember the other one. Shit.
I can't
And I should
remember
know this
either. I
too.
think Lincoln was the only one. So I'm pretty sure that
No,
you're right about Lincoln.
I know I'm right about Lincoln. That was the easy part.
Yeah,
It was the
and
other
that's
one.
where I'm lost. After that, it's whatever. I don't know. Why does it got to be two? Why can't it just be one? I
Right.
don't know. God.
Yeah, I can't remember off the top where the other one is. Who said the other one?
Um, Boulder Vaughn says Adam Kokesh got arrested for dancing at the Capitol in D.C. Well,
Fucking legend.
I mean,
Awesome. Good for him. Good for
uh,
him.
the pastor said no more dancing after his kid got killed. So I bet he was riding around in a VW playing "Bang Your Head" too, wasn't he? Fucking footloose kids.
Boulder says Kennedy,
Kennedy
but
and William
Lincoln absolutely said it.
Kennedy. Wait, Kennedy said. Are you talking about quotes by them, or are you talking? Uh, there are two places that reference this. He said two people that reference this line. Name them both. But where's the original? They reference it, but where was one of those two the original? Because something about Lincoln stands out in my head too. When
Yeah.
as in regards to that line. But because
Unless it's
and
like
I
a
guess
Mandela effect thing. That's the only thing I can think of.
right, like
Like,
having like a Civil War issue flashbacks. Something he would have said during the Civil War. I think he's just
or
trying to
just
make us
before.
look foolish. It's just not fair.
Yeah.
Major Victory says, here's a hint. His name starts with a J. What was he saying before that? Oh, J. J. His name starts with a J. John.
Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt.
That's too many J's. John. John Kennedy. John Adams. John
Yeah, it could be any of those.
Johnson.
Any. I know, like his name starts with a J. Doesn't really help with all the
Jim.
Johns and Jacks and
Right?
like that doesn't help.
There's the one I can't figure out. How do you get Jack from John? How does that work? Why would you call anybody named John Jack instead?
Oh wait, is
Why
that
don't
an
you just
actual
name him?
thing? Oh, I
Yes.
guess it is, isn't it? Yeah,
John Kennedy was known as Jack Kennedy. I mean,
that's
they referred
true.
to him as
Yeah.
Jack. Johns throughout history have
Oh,
been.
apparently the original is Matthew 12:22 to 32.
Well, that's what Elephant Man is saying, but
Yeah. Well, I mean
I don't
that
know.
makes sense. That's
I don't know if that's
referencing
what
that.
Major Victory is referring to. There's so many different things coming. Who are you talking about? A house divided. What is it? A house divided cannot stand. Isn't that the phrase, right? A house
Jim
divided will
Gray.
not stand. Who said it? Two references. Jim Gray, Helton says.
Oh,
Jacob
Jesus.
Hornberger.
Starts with a
Jesus.
G. A J.
Jesus.
Jesus, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Oh God. No, not Jesus.
Oh, Jesus.
Not Jesus. Jesus is our friend. Shakespeare and Kennedy, major victory is pointing to that. So Shakespeare
So
and
apparently
Kennedy.
a lot of people have said it.
Shakespeare.
So apparently a lot of people have said it.
And that Shakespeare would have said it in
Romeo and Juliet.
no.
No. He
King
Voldemort saying
Lear.
Romeo and Juliet. Did you
Oh,
ever
was it
see that?
Romeo and Juliet?
Yeah. Did you ever see that amazing like adaptation of Romeo and Juliet with Leonardo DiCaprio?
Okay,
That was
you
incredible, and you
you
know
you
it.
should not loosely use the word amazing.
No, I loved it. What are you talking about? It's so good. They had guns and shit. It was amazing.
I thought Romeo Must Die was a better movie.
Oh my god.
If you've not seen Romeo Must Die, that's a
No,
better Romeo and Juliet type thing.
I loved the Leonardo DiCaprio one though. It was so amazing.
Do you?
I
Yeah.
watched it in school at one point.
Because that got all like gangstery and cool
Yeah,
guns and stuff, right?
yeah. You get to a
So,
shootout like the gas
and
station or something,
they
and then,
kept
but there was like,
they kept
yeah,
the
they kept up the
original
lines. It
script,
was so
right?
good.
Yes.
Yeah,
That actually wasn't bad the way they did it. I just
yeah.
wish it hadn't been Leonardo DiCaprio.
Oh,
I
I don't
think
give a
that's what it
fuck.
was
That
for
was
me. I wasn't a big fan of his. I never really have been. He's not really done
yeah.
anything that thrilled me.
That
His
was
acting went
amazing.
down with the ship, as it were.
Because he was in Titanic.
You didn't have to explain it. Everybody would have gotten it, John.
Yeah, but I wanted you to
Elfenman
know that I
says
got
there are
it.
3 accounts in the Gospels in which Jesus states that a kingdom divided against itself is laid waste, or a house divided cannot stand. So everybody else borrowed it from Jesus.
Oh yeah, Jim Gray and Jacob Hornberger. I forgot about him, but he was in the debate too. He wasn't exceptional.
Um,
Wasn't impressed.
I still have to say that you've got to prove to me that the Bible wasn't the CNN of its time. Um, he says all 3 instances of this statement are spoken in response to the Pharisees' accusation that Jesus was casting out demons by the power of Satan. Ooh.
Oh,
Sometimes you got to tap into the dark to get to the light.
that's right.
It is what it is, folks. It is what it is. I mean, hello, Washington, government, government. They're tapping into their
Jesus.
dark side all the time.
And that's about it. Not doing any good with it. Just
So,
dark side anyway.
as far as the libertarian debate, did it? Yes or no? Did it confirm anybody a vote for anybody for you, or are you still undecided?
Um, Still kind of undecided. I want to see who the nominee will be, and that'll be tomorrow. We'll find out tomorrow who they nominate.
Does that now see that almost gives me an indication that you're going to go with a party line vote?
Well, no, then I would have said, well, I'm going to vote for whoever they nominate. I'm saying
Right.
it depends on who they nominate.
Well, but so there wasn't enough said for you to ascertain who your candidate of choice would be. Whether they're going to be the one nominated, because Biden's not my
Yeah.
candidate of choice,
If I
right?
had
For
to cast
Democrat.
if I had to cast the vote right now, I would probably go Vermin Supreme.
Still, do you think he was
Yeah.
better than who did you say?
John Mons. I like him a lot, but I don't know as much about him. I was looking at his site last night, and I mean everything he says checks out. You know, um, I don't think I saw anything about open borders, but I also might not have gotten that far into like his policies. But everything else checked out perfectly, and I like the way he speaks. So, yeah. I mean, if he was nominated, I wouldn't. I would absolutely vote for him if he was nominated. But
Ron Helton is asking, isn't Hornberger the one that the leadership is pushing
yeah,
forward?
yeah, he is.
Um, is it is the Libertarian Party much like the Republican and Democratic parties, where it's more a popularity thing than? I mean, I guess the real question is this actually going to be supported by votes Is there like is there going to be an actual primary um,
Well, they
vote
have the
held for
same.
these
They're.
guys?
I mean, they already every state when the state the states do their
Right.
primary, there's the libertarian options are there too, which is I imagine how they lowered the field down to or whittled down the field to who's there now, and then the delegates vote on Saturday based on the people who are left. As far as I understand it, that's how it's done.
Because I guess it's kind of sad that the libertarians get put at this point where, for instance, the Democrats and or Republicans have debates before the primaries, whereas
Yeah.
the libertarians are relegated to having their debates after the primaries just to figure out which candidate they're going to put forward.
Well, this
But
was the last one. They had previous ones. I'm not sure when they were, so they might have been
right,
around the same
but to
time.
still be having debates after the primary, after primary votes have been cast, et cetera. And I know not every state has already voted yet. Am I
Yeah,
correct? We haven't gotten all 50 states
I
voting
don't
in
think
for the
so.
primaries yet. Um, so, but how much is the Libertarian Party going to base their selection off the vote versus off just choice? Much like what we're going to see, we potentially are going to see with the Democrats. It's not set in stone they're going to choose Biden. They may opt for somebody they like more.
They're gonna yeah go for Cuomo, who didn't
Uh,
even run yet.
be,
Like, oh my god,
but right, but
I would
because I
love for
would,
that to happen. I
because I
would
would,
love. Oh my god, that would be so good.
I mean, my
Replace
mind,
Biden.
my mind tells me that the Libertarian Party of all parties would be the one that would adhere to a vote by the libertarian people out there that have voted for us, for a
Well, I mean,
candidate and go
they're
by the
not
numbers.
for democracy in that way, right? They're for more of like a Republican system of delegates. Like you vote for your delegates, and the delegates vote for the president. Like the
Electoral
republic as we.
college kind of thing.
Yeah, they would go more for that than they would a direct democracy. Because I mean, direct democracy it's the tyranny of the majority.
Yeah,
Just because the
yeah,
majority picks someone doesn't mean that they would be the right person.
right. But it works to a large extent. I mean, if you got a group of people and it's like, do we play
I
flag
mean,
football or do we play basketball? If the majority says we play flag football, then
can
you play
you? Okay, that's one thing, but running a country, especially the United States, is a completely different thing than
bullshit.
playing
That this
football or
stuff's
flag
easy.
football.
This stuff is
Can you
easy.
name one direct democracy in the world?
No, because it doesn't exist.
Right, because it's a bad system.
No, here's the thing. No, I'm of the opinion that very few governmental systems that are set up, whatever they might be, like for instance, England is a monarchy above all and else, even though it's a parliamentary. Now it's a parliamentary monarchy or whatever,
Constitutional monarchy is what it's
constitutional.
called, but
Right.
yeah, the queen has
Nothing is
very
what it's
little
supposed to be.
powers.
Nothing is what it's even
Yeah,
supposed to be. What's China supposed to be?
the Democratic Party or the Democratic
Republic of
what?
China?
No,
Something along this?
it's like something like the Glorious Democratic People's Republic of China.
But what
It's
is it? It's an
yeah.
authoritarian regime,
How dare you? They
right?
have elections all the
Um,
time.
yeah, yeah. I see these things. I see these elections going on in countries all the time outside of America, and I'm like, oh, you had an election, and then I watch countries
Mhm.
that are like, oh, we didn't get this election right. Let's try again. No, we still didn't get
Oh,
him. Let's try
oh my God,
again.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, we got him this time. This election is valid. Okay, we're good.
Well, what's funny is
N-
that's how the EU does things. Like when they, especially when they've come up with, like member states leaving. They tried to do that with Brexit. They tried to. They kept bringing it to vote. They did it twice, I believe, and both times they voted leave. But they were trying to get to do it again because they wanted to keep going until they voted remain. Which also happened in Ireland. Less people know about that, but that happened there as well. They did it like 3 or 4 times because they have a lot more control over there. Like the Irish government has a lot more control than the British one does, unfortunately. But so they were able to keep bringing it to vote until they voted remain, and they were like, okay, good enough.
Hey, seeing as how Cameron posted in there about the constitutional monarchy, I have a question for you, Cameron. What is the governmental stance or system in North Korea, because of any country, I would think that North Korea is like one of the ones that's, if I'm right, is very, very almost in tune with what their government is supposed to be. Like I don't know
Well,
what they
they
consider
follow the
themselves.
Juche philosophy, which is basically like fuck everybody, we can take care of ourselves. To boil it down to its
Right.
most basic form,
But I mean the label
was
that they
that
have on their government. Of course, every government has a
well,
label
they're
on
the
it, right?
Democratic People
Oh, do they
Republic
have
of
that in
Korea. Yeah,
theirs
the
as well?
DPRK. Yeah,
DPRK,
People.
that's true.
Yeah,
That's right.
Democratic People's Republic of Korea. Yeah,
Democratic Republic. But it's okay,
Democratic
then never
People's
mind.
Republic
Democratic
DPRK. Yeah,
People's Republic. So, okay, then never mind. They're not true to what they are,
yeah,
right?
yeah. They're not.
Um, yeah, so that's sad. It's just kind of sad when you think of it. So nobody is what they are supposed to be, right? It's so we can.
I don't know. We call ourselves a republic, even though a lot of people will call it a
But are,
democracy.
but
That's
are
not the
we a
official
republic? I
title.
mean, are we really a republic?
Yes.
In
Yeah, you
in
vote for representatives who represent you to the rest of the government, and they pass laws and advocate. They're supposed to
okay,
advocate for their
okay,
state.
okay. But
So
if
whether the individuals follow it or not, our system follows it at
right,
least.
I guess my question is, but is there, without true representation, are we living up to that form? So, for instance, look at the Patriot Act. That was
Yeah,
representatives, but they were not going by the will of the people. If people really knew what the truth behind the Patriot Act and had a say in it, I don't
yeah.
think
No,
that
I
shit would have ever
agree that
gone through.
I agree that the system isn't, or that the individuals within the system are not living up to it. But the structure of the system is what we were calling it. It's the same. It's all a republic. It's
Right.
the individuals in that system that are not doing their jobs,
Yeah. So
and that's our fault for not holding them
right.
accountable.
So
Yeah,
in effect, I mean, again, our government not living up to what it's supposed to be is again the point I'm trying to make. Very few. I can't really think of anywhere in the world where their government actually lives up to what it's supposed to. Maybe in the Middle
yeah.
East or some. I don't know how.
Oh
But
yeah, I
everybody wants
mean
to pretend
caliphates
they're.
are well.
Every,
Even then, though, if you want to talk about, if you want to go that deep about like holding extremely firm to those ideals, I mean, even caliphates, you'll still have people who drink alcohol on the
oh,
sly,
right,
and
right.
you'll have uh, things that are not supposed to be done under Islam.
Yeah.
Um,
So I
so
mean,
yeah, I mean,
we
yeah,
don't
even
live
then,
up to, much like the rest of the world. We don't even live up to the standards that we set for ourselves just by the represent how we represent our government to the rest of the world. Because you pull the smoke and mirrors back, and the truth of the matter is, I mean, we are very near a very socialist, a very authoritarian socialist kind of situation here. We're very close to socialism in this country. I mean,
I
we
don't know if
creep
we're as
closer.
close
We
as,
creep closer
especially.
every day. Whenever
Well,
you look
yeah,
at
I
the
mean,
numbers
we
that we
do.
spend on socialist,
Social programs,
programs,
yeah.
right?
But we haven't started seizing the means of production and
Well, yeah,
whatnot.
but that's
So,
more communism than socialism, isn't it?
well, no, you still have you. What you do is you would, I guess, yeah, because you would have most businesses, in fact, would be owned by the state under socialism. Under true socialism, you would have most businesses belonging to the state, and then people who would run them. Now, the obviously the most extreme form is that everything is owned by the state, and you everyone works for the state.
I still think we're more in line with a socialist corporatocracy. That's kind of where I see us. You
Well,
know,
I think we're a capitalist country with socialist tendencies, if
because I
anything.
because I really think that our government is really more corporate money makes more things happen in our government than the will of the people does. I mean that's who I feel
Well,
our
yeah,
representatives
absolutely,
represent is money, corporate money.
right. But that has to do with corruption and not how the
Sure,
system is, designed.
yeah, but the system is kind of designed to allow widespread corruption.
I
Any
think it's allowed to happen, and it's not being kept in check. Which we
right?
have checks and
There's no
balances for that,
accountability.
but there's no right. It's not operating properly. Yeah.
And I would argue that, I have started getting on this train where population is a big thing for me. The larger the population, the less easy it is for anybody to represent. Um,
Well, right, and that's why. And every time you bring that up, you know where I go, right?
right, go to a
Going to
decentralization and everything, but still,
right. The
it
state's
winds
running,
it still winds up being the same
being in
thing.
charge of
The corruption just comes down to a smaller level, and even though
right,
people are
which
closer
is
to their government, it doesn't mean dick. I mean, here in Florida,
easier to hold them
I mean,
accountable.
how much are they held accountable for here in Florida? I mean, come on.
Well, we're
Yeah.
too busy doing meth and water
Is
skiing on
that right?
crocodiles.
Is that what
So
we're doing? Right.
yeah,
But Cameron was saying they have an absolute dictatorship over there in North Korea. He says
yeah,
each holds eternal positions in government. Sure, but that's not what they call themselves, and that's not how they
right. The
represent themselves on the
DPRK was
world
what.
stage. Right.
So yeah, that's the answer that Robert was looking for.
The
Was
Norks are
the
a democratic republic. What are the Norks? Not sure.
North
Uh,
Koreans,
North Korea.
Norks.
Oh,
Yeah.
gotcha. Okay. Uh, uh, Kim Yo Jong, 99% chance. Yeah, that's a given.
Yeah, Mommy
I know,
Korea,
I know what I wanted to ask you about,
Mommy Best Korea. I'm
or
sorry, I
mention.
apologize.
So
Yeah,
China, you're familiar with China? It's a large country
I've heard of it.
over
Yeah, I've heard of it.
in Asia. Apparently, they are putting laws into place which basically is going to minimize the allowed the protesting. It's going to like outlaw a lot of the protesting that's going on in Hong Kong,
Good. Yeah,
and
yeah, excellent.
they've pretty much said to America, we're doing this. If you have a problem, come at me, bro. They've pretty much just laid it out there. If you got a problem, America, come on. But we're shutting Hong Kong down. We're going to put all this to bed. That's where they've gone. So it's going to be interesting to see if there's any fallout from this or how that transpires. But it looks like they're taking the next step to locking Hong Kong down by now making it illegal for, I guess, certain levels or amounts of this, what you can do in protest,
Right.
to where now they can just sweep in and start mass jailing people, whatever the case may be. And they've pretty much told America, if you don't like it, do something about it or shut the fuck up.
Hmm.
Which is kind of brazen to me. I mean, it's like,
Yeah.
but
I don't know
um,
if you want to talk to Trump that way though, because he might
well,
he
he's
might
bit.
fuck around and do something, and that would kind of suck.
They're saying it because they know he's on medication right now.
Right.
So
Yeah. Ron Hilton's asking, is this a total lineup? And he names Hornberger, Jorgensen, Mons, Gray, Vermin Supreme. I think so. I If there's anyone else who was there, they did not make an impression on me. So those are the names that I remember. Yeah.
Um, but I will say this, I know that there's a lot of talk from everybody about all sorts of things, and like we just touched on. But I don't care where you do it and how you do it. There is, I can't imagine there's any type of system that can be set up on a smaller scale to larger scale that does not leave open door to corruption and will be corrupted in some way or another,
Right.
especially when you allow capitalism
The only thing
to
you can do is
continue down
minimize
the
it.
road it goes.
Right.
Because
Feudalism. That's what we need.
capitalism will always breed corruption.
We need
As
feudalism.
well, I mean, yeah, but I mean, when you think about feudalism, I mean, so you mentioned that a couple of times. So, is there a present day option for feudalism, or are we still talking about old school feudalism?
I mean, you could in a way. And we have like a form of that, except for with the the different governments being different, local, the more localized governments, smaller and smaller power, and then it gets bigger and bigger as it goes up, and they're in charge of the governments under them. Like obviously our governor is in charge of the county, governments, and then the counties are in charge of the city governments, and so on and so forth, and then all the way up, obviously, which is kind of how feudalism worked in a way, except for they had a lot more say in what happened within their fief.
Right, but is that
So
possible in the present day? I mean, from an actual standpoint, like not I understand, the concept maybe, but like, could it actually happen? When we look at the size of population, we look at the states, we look at what this country is.
mhm.
I
So
mean,
I do want to state real quick that I am joking when I say feudalism. I'm just
oh,
saying.
but I mean, I'm just curious as I mean, if
Yeah.
you so because
I just
when
want to
I
make it
think
clear because I know I always say it with a straight face, and it's not always, it might not always be clear. I am joking
Well,
about
when I hear you say
that.
feudalism, I imagine a present day scenario where we have states vying against each other in a competitive way,
Yeah, which
still
that would be
under an
fun.
umbrella of the United
Yeah,
States of
yeah,
America, but states that are competing with each other for a level of power in the country, if that makes
right.
sense. Is that
I see
like
what
a
you're saying.
present
Yeah,
day idea of where feudalism could be?
yeah. And while there are examples in history of one lord going after another lord, under the same king, it that wasn't extremely common. It wasn't like Game of Thrones where they're constantly
Yeah, yeah.
wiping houses out and trying to kill
Sure,
each other.
sure. No, 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 no.
It's not
And
like that at
because I
all.
mean, I have a base understanding of
I mean,
what
it did
feudalism.
happen, but not like
Right.
that. Yeah,
I
not as
understand
often as
what
that. Yeah,
feudalism was about, and it really was. It was about competing for power overall. I
yeah.
mean, the one with the most toys wins, but if somebody else with bigger toys comes along, they can take the seat of power,
Well,
that
it
kind of
really
thing.
was more about how much land you have
Right.
and how arable that land was. Because the more you can farm on it, the more peasants you can have live on that land.
Sure.
You have more people to draw from for
Gotcha.
military, and you have more crops coming in, which means you have
Right.
more wealth in the overall, in the long term.
Which in the
So that
present day
that
we
would
would
be
translate to production. It wouldn't just
right.
have to be agriculture, it
You
would
would
be
have
production. What can
your
your state
states
produce?
right,
And
exactly,
if you can
exactly.
produce the highest GDP in the country, well, then you get a larger percentage of the say of what happens in the country.
Right.
See, I could see feudalism, I could see it
A more
in a
modern form could
right.
yeah, yeah.
But is even that, is it immune to corruption?
No, of course not.
Right?
Not there's no, as long as there's one person in charge of another group of people, it doesn't matter. It could be one person in charge of three other people. The corruption can happen there.
Right.
One person can make a deal with the one in charge and get his way,
Right.
and the other one can say, "Hey, I'll make a better offer or whatever."
Right.
It doesn't matter. There's always going to be corruption.
I made you this wallet out of duct tape. Can I get some extra
Yeah.
biscuits? Right.
Right.
Real quick, Ron Helton had a question. I just want to make sure and touch on it. He was asking about the lineup at
Yeah.
the debate. He was asking, did the Libertarian Party decide the lineup for that? How did you
Uh
say it was decided?
in a way, it was more. So they obviously put the rules in place, but it was more of who got the most votes. It was like the top, I guess, five in that case. Yeah, top five in that case.
Gotcha.
Moved on to this final round. But then the delegates get to choose who the nominee is tomorrow.
Right. Elephant Man says this conversation is going down a dark road. That's not really that dark. I mean, to be honest with you,
There's a reason that feudalism was around for as long as it
right.
was.
I mean, to be
Yeah.
honest, when you look at the population of this country and the necessity to govern that many people from a federal level, because it goes without saying that it's a necessity to do that when you have the government in place, you have
Mhm.
programs in place, you have all these things already in place. As the population grows, those can only strengthen. Those will only strengthen, and the power will grow. But if you can turn it to a point where state is vying against state for increased levels of production to have a stronger say in the country, then you begin to bring production back to the country. You
Well,
begin to
yeah,
open
exactly.
up
Yeah.
more jobs. You find innovation to create more, to do more, to export more, to actually work harder. It is an interesting concept once you think about it, how this could benefit. I don't, I don't want to buy into, I don't really buy into the decentralization and everything, because that's just taking federal government down to a smaller size, in my opinion, still having to govern a bunch of people where populations are still growing. And then you got to decentralize more and decentralize more, but still you're just making the bed of corruption just a little smaller.
Right,
Whereas
and that's the goal.
feudalism would actually be a way for the state to come together as a whole and say this: we reap more rewards from higher productivity in this state, and
Hmm.
we see more benefits on a large scale nationally. I could see something like that actually having benefits. Just saying. And it doesn't have to be dark. It doesn't have to, it's not about states going to war. That's where your Fed comes in. You could have an overarching federal government that steps in and prevents conflicts, arbitrates things that go on between states, and, handles interstate commerce. But you now take the necessity of the federal government to support the people, protect the people, safeguard the people, a lot of that out of the picture. Social programs aren't necessary anymore because guess what? The bulk of the people in states are working, they're producing, they're doing, so that they can
Yeah.
reach those reward levels. I don't know, man. I don't. This might be a thing. Modern day feudalism. Is it?
um,
Is it a? Is it a path, John?
we I don't know. Obviously, you'd have to sit down and like flush out a lot more things than just like how it could, like the potential end of it. You know what I mean? Like the potential, like once it's implicated or
You mean
implemented.
like the end
You
goal?
know, yeah, like what all the little minutia and stuff would need to be worked out on that kind of thing. But that would be a fun, thought experiment to
It
do.
sure would, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe
And
we should
Elephant Man's
consider that.
asking, was there corruption and feudalism? Absolutely.
Sure.
100%.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can't get away from it in any system, as was stated earlier. I mean, in fact, was
Absolutely.
it you that stated that? Who said that?
I think it was Elephant Man,
But yeah, it's. I mean, there's no way to get.
yeah.
Yeah, Elfman did say it. All systems lead to corruption. Everything will. Everything is and can be
Yeah.
and will be corruptible and corrupted. There's no way around that. That's why this is why I'm like, what point? What's the point to the boogaloo? Because all we're doing is we're just going to replace a corrupt infrastructure with another one, right? I mean, it's
Yep.
really all it'll wind up doing. And I don't want to trade one brand of corruption for another just to appease a bunch of people that want to carry their guns. I would just rather find ways to get our government to let you keep your guns in your hands and move on about our daily lives. Get our freedoms back. Hey, why? Let's tear down the Patriot Act. Let's demand that the Patriot Act be torn down and get rid of that. We don't need to be running around and thinking that words are domestic terrorism anymore. We're past that. I mean, 9/11 happened. I'm not going to knock it, but we've made our peace. We've moved on. It's we buried. That's those. That's gone. That's happened. We can move past that. We don't need to sacrifice all these liberties because it happened so long ago. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
We didn't
but
need to do it then, really. But
well, I see the knee-jerk
it's too late.
reaction and necessity, and
Oh, yeah. Well, that's why they took
The
advantage
American
of it.
people, a lot of American people, on board with it because you know they saw where was our protection, because of course our government is supposed to protect us from enemies both foreign and
Right.
domestic,
Of course.
right?
Of course.
That's what they see.
But yeah, I mean, that's why they took advantage of it, though, was because they knew they would get the support immediately after.
Hey, John, I'm loving the conversation, but since we're reaching a pause point, I want to go spend some time with my daughters since
Yeah,
she's hanging out
absolutely.
with me tonight. So if you don't mind, I want to cut this a little bit short. So if you could, real quick, can you give folks an idea of where they can find us and how they can talk to us and reach out to us if they want, please?
Yes, of course. On your way down to the description down below here, you can hit the like and the subscribe button, little bell thing next to it. And then as you're scrolling further, you'll see a bunch of links that we have down there. We've got our Twitter, which is at the Gen Gap P. We've got our Discord server, which the link is obviously, like I said, there. And we've got a link to freedomscoop.com, where you'll find all of our stuff, and you'll find other such creators as J. Edgar, Wyatt from Roundtable Decision. You'll find RRC over there, Mr. R Rated Conservative. Stephen Ignoramus you'll find over there, and the Freckles and Brit show are now over there as well. So you'll find all their kind of content, and that helps us out a lot too when you go over there. Um, and you can buy our merch if you so choose,
Merch is
such as
good.
the T-shirt that we have. It's a pretty excellent T-shirt.
I'm not wearing it. You are. Show it off.
I am, yes, indeed. It's got stuff on the back too, but I can't show you that obviously. And our mug, yeah, you can buy our mug. Looks pretty good in my opinion. Keep your drinks either hot or cold, I suppose. But yeah, all that stuff's there. And if you put in the code GenGap at checkout, you'll get 15% off your purchase.
15%?
15%.
We're going to go
practically
broke.
giving it away. We're crazy Freedom Scoop.
Hey, so I appreciate everyone showing up tonight. We've had some great conversation, a lot of good comments from the chat. I am going to ask, I don't know, I'm going to put it out there kind of to Ron Helton, only because, he'll know. Maybe he'll know why. If anybody noticed anything different tonight, it's not a big deal. But I did have a live studio audience, but that did have an impact on it. John, I don't even think you noticed. You probably wouldn't have.
Did you get your hair cut?
No.
Just thought you were doing the whole woman thing.
Just something
like,
missing.
You didn't even notice I got my hair cut.
Yeah, just something missing from the show tonight. So,
I didn't know.
I know. I was wondering. I was wondering if Ron Helton might comment on it, but who knows? Maybe anyway. I'm not going to make big. But I appreciate everybody showing up. A lot of good conversation. Glad you guys showed up tonight. If you have not done it, please hit that like button. The more likes, the better. People will come and check us out. Hit the subscribe button if you have not hit that previously, which I know most of you had, but just for shits and giggles, you never know who's there. Don't forget to hit the notification button so that you'll know when we're coming online. And we are going to be returning again on Monday night for our regular Shooting the Shit episode, which is at 9:30 Eastern Time, the one true time zone. And we will also be coming back again a week from now, and we'll be doing our regular episode at 8:30 p.m. on Friday, just like we are now. Again, that's Eastern Time, the one true time zone. And, who knows? You never know when I might have my live studio audience. I know you may not have heard all the cans. She was rolling over here. She was having a great time.
Well, it's only because she's sitting in a chair with wheels on it. I mean... I know what the other chair in that place is.
Shut up, John! No, Elephant Man. I think we've been fucking swearing the whole time.
Yeah, we've been fucking swearing the whole damn time, man. Fuck you talking
She's used
about.
to that. I mean, like I said, she's if it's been said on Breaking Bad, she's seen it. She's a rabble rouser. No, we have very strict rules. She knows how it works. She's you do as I say, not as I do. It was a lesson I taught very early in life. Do as I say, not as I do. No, Ron. All right, fine. Well, anyway, I'm going to get out of here because I haven't had a cigarette in an hour and a half, and I'm due for one.
Oh, that's what it was. Gotcha.
Right?
Yeah.
See,
Yeah.
I don't want to put her through that. I'm being nice. I know how to take care of my girl. But
Fair
anyway,
enough.
I may not know how to take care of myself, but. All right, folks. Love you all very much. Thank you for showing up. We're going to get the hell out of here. John, thanks for a great conversation. We'll talk to you real soon.
Yeah.
See you on Monday. Peace out, folks.
See you guys.
The war will begin.